What's going on, Breaking Brown family? If all of a sudden everything shuts down, I tried to close the Microsoft update window and I think I hit postpone, but I don't know how long it postponed for or how long. You all know I have problems with these updates. What's going on, family? Just want to let you know. Listen, family, we got a lot as usual. We got a lot we got to talk about. Well, not really a lot tonight. Tonight's not a really heavy night. Tonight's kind of just like a more in-depth night. So get your libations, fam. Do what you got to do so that we can have the conversation that we like to have. We have the conversation every Monday and Wednesday around 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. It's like 9:27 now, but you understand. So there was something that I wanted to discuss, because I thought the one something that I wanted to discuss led to another something. So we're going to get to that. But before we get to that, a little housekeeping. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit that bell. That bell, like everybody fell in here and know that I'm on. What's going on, Blind? What's going on, Nerdy? What's going on, J Boogie? So, like, listen, like everybody, please hit that notification so you get a notification when I come online. I would really, really appreciate that so we can all be on the same page. If you want to donate, go to donatebrown.com. You can do that. If you want to add yourself to my mailing list, just go to subscribetobrown.com. You can also go to patreon.com/ycarnell. And you can also share this in your groups. You can also like, you can also subscribe. Even if you don't always agree, you can subscribe and get in the chat and have a conversation. So, libations ready to go. Let's have the conversation about something that we don't talk a lot about: selling your plasma for money. And the intersection, or how selling your plasma for money has something to do with the life that we live. And people say, well, there are poor white people who sell their plasma too. Yes, there are poor white people, but they have a whole structure that we've talked about. White people have nearly all the money. So the fact that they have a subset of people who are selling their plasma is not the same as us. We don't have anything. Middle black families, about $1,500 right now, was $1,700. That's no money. So when you talk about working poor, when you talk about poor, you're talking about us. So when we talk about the selling of the plasma, you have to understand how many of us are caught up in that. For those who don't know what plasma is, I'm going to play a video in just a second where we're going to try to illuminate that. Because what I really want to give everybody, I want to try to give everybody some kind of, I want to give like a framework so that we understand like how much a part not only this is of life and how people are making money and getting money. And when I talk about, because see, a lot of times when I have the immigration conversation, now I talk about dwindling jobs and dwindling opportunities, and we talk about plugs and outlets and all that kind of stuff. But we don't talk enough about what it looks like when you don't have the job. So when you don't have the job and the welfare state has been eviscerated, we don't really talk about people living that life and that suffering and what that life looks like. We have collectively, as a group of people, we have kind of just turned away from those people and said, those people are those people. We wish them the best of luck, but we can't help them. And so what I want to do is turn the lens back on what that life looks like. And then I want to talk about, I want to have a conversation about why we don't see ourselves and why we don't see these people in our community, and why their suffering does not mean anything to us, why we are not activated by the suffering that we see in these people. And what I would say is that there's a lot of social engineering going on in our community. And that's how I connected back to Diddy. Now, before I say anything, people are like, Yvette, why you keep talking about Diddy? You talk about Diddy all the time. Listen, if y'all don't want me to talk about him, then y'all make him stop talking about himself. Because I can't tell you how many times I've heard him talk about how he did a paperboy route as a boy. I don't care about your paperboy route. I don't care that you deliver papers, but nobody ever tells him to stop talking. And I also talk about it because it's emblematic of why we don't see something else. He's just the biggest, loudest, most loudly, not only just, sustained person who's done this over time, most effective, and just, dripping with diamonds and gold. So I want to have a two-pronged conversation, but I want to bring this story up first. If this clip up first is about 4 minutes long, so please bear with me, watch the clip, and I'll be back after the clip.
As we traveled across America, we wondered about some people we saw in the shadows of the morning. Every day, 97,000 people will begin to take their place in a line, waiting to have a needle put in their arms for up to 2 hours. This is a transaction for money. There are 500 plasma centers in the U.S., and almost all are foreign-owned. They extract plasma from this blood to make drugs that help treat leukemia and for transplant patients. And these companies have turned the United States into what has been called the OPEC of plasma. American donors providing 94% of the paid plasma used around the world. They are a kind of branded army, not of addicts, but people, including full-time workers who are just unable to make ends meet.
I donate specifically for the money because I work a minimum wage job as a cashier and a stocker.
Basically, it's for bills, make ends meet.
These donors are paid about $30 to $40 each visit. It is a $19.7 billion industry and growing.
Do you work part-time or full-time?
Full-time.
I'm married with 2 kids, so anything you can do for a little bit of extra cash.
Donating is easier than you might think. Simply relax, watch TV, or enjoy our free Wi-Fi in a clean and friendly environment.
I use Friday, one day I use Sunday. I switch up every time, and it's a 21 gauge needle, so it's pretty thick.
When we first meet a donor named William Harris, he works full-time at Burger King. Some nights when the shelter is full, he sleeps in a storage closet. His room is a chair, surrounded by spiders. By his side, a well-read self-help book about success, how you get ahead in America.
I love that book.
And you still believe that hard work is going to get you there?
Yes. No other way.
So why is it that these foreign companies recruit their donors in the United States? We learned that most of their home countries have banned the practice of paying money for plasma. There's one more person we met walking to give plasma twice a week. His name is Gaylord Cade.
They're actually helping somebody else out too here.
When we meet him, he's working 2 jobs, one at a grocery, one in fast food, but says he's donating because his daughter has a birthday. He needs $7.50 to buy a bathing suit and money for a cake. He doesn't want his kids to know how he's getting it.
I try to take off my bandage before I get home.
We went to the apartment unit he's renting. We met his 6-year-old son, Eric, who tells us how he feels about the dad working so hard to support their family.
A giant plane that with the giant head is all the way to outer space and in heaven and past heaven. And giant. I'm trying to say a lot. And Daddy working on getting a car.
Gaylord, who has had a tough life growing up, says he knows there are a lot of people who have a lot more than he does.
You work 40 hours a week, right? You probably work more than that, right?
I work a lot.
Right.
I work a lot.
You work a lot.
You work hard too.
Right. And you're American, I'm American. We both work hard, and the difference is, I imagine you can take care of yourself pretty good, and probably your grandkids and things like that sort too.
Gaylord says he doesn't resent other people's good fortune. He just wonders if anyone sees the struggle all around him.
I'm grateful for any and everything that God sends my way. However, people who pass you by, they don't know what you're going through, but there's poverty. There's a lot of poverty around here.
The kind that leads a dad to give his blood for his daughter's birthday smile.
You like it, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, how old are you today?
17.
You ready to go swimming?
Yeah.
Now, Breaking Brown family, let me just while the video was playing, I was paying attention to the comments as well, and I just want to say something. Somebody said in the comments that this guy this father was paying this money. You know, he was giving his blood to get this money, his plasma to get this money, but he was doing it for trinkets, that he was doing it for toys. And here's what I'll say. Here's what I want to say to that. He's not doing it to get his daughter cake or a bathing suit. He wasn't doing it for a birthday, right? He's doing it to make his daughter American, because in America that's what happens to kids. Like when you're an American in this country that we built, free labor, locked out. But when you're an American, what your kid gets is cake on his birthday. Especially if you go to work every day, right? You go to work every day. Your kid expects to have cake. And why shouldn't your kid have cake? Your kid is an American kid in the richest country in the world. Why should you have to put this thing in your arm or wherever it goes and sell your insides for that? Now, if for those who remember, I think there's a Malcolm X quote, and it kind of fits. Show me a capitalist and I'll show you a bloodsucker. Like, now I'm not coming down one way. I'm just saying that this is what I see in this video. So when we ask, well, is there a role for my child? Is something, I think they've already defined the role. Your role is to be harvested for other people to have a better life. This man is trying to make his daughter feel stable and comfortable. Isn't that what parents are supposed to do? Except he can't give real stability, but he can give his bodily fluids to help give her that level of happiness. So, and she's going to go to school where everybody had a cake. And we're talking about the little bathing suit was like $7.50. Like, why shouldn't an American man who works, there's a job for him, even if he don't work, like, come on, but he's at a job, why shouldn't he be able to buy like a $7.50 bathing suit for his kid? Like, so instead of I think the reflexive thing that we do is that we try to blame, and this is an American thing, it's not your fault. But this is an American thing where like the propaganda has put us in a place where we try to blame the person, and we try to see what that person could have done differently and what that father is doing wrong. But not asking, what is this country doing to that father to put him in this position that he has in order to buy a cake for his little girl, a birthday cake, and a bathing suit that costs $7. Why has this country put him in a position that he has to sell plasma to do that? And I think, one of the things that I like to say on this show, and I like to say everywhere, and I hold myself to it, in order to get the right answers, you have to ask yourself the right questions. And you're only as smart as the ideas that you bump up against. And so we have to start asking the right question. The question isn't right, well, do his daughter really have to have a cake? Or do his daughter really got to have a bathing suit? The question is, this father wants to be a father in America. Why can't he be a father? What is the impediment to him doing for his child what all other fathers are able? White fathers in this country are able to do most overwhelmingly. People with wealth in this country. Why can't he do that? That is the question that I need answered. You have to ask yourself the right question. Something that they said in the video, they said you can't sell plasma. Like, the reason this is here, the reason the bulk of it is here is because selling plasma for money is outlawed. Like in most of these countries, it's outlawed. We're not gonna have people selling their blood. We will. In a lot of places, we'll just have a robust welfare state to where we have a floor that no one can fall underneath. You can't fall beneath that floor. That's what we have. And you have to ask yourself again, why we don't have that here. And part of the reason we don't have that here is the propaganda. You saw the first black man, and you saw he was reading a book about how to he was reading this book about how working hard will get him rich. Now he's living in a storage facility. But even though he can't, understand something. Listen to me, black people. He is listening more to this book. Even though this book does not reflect his experience. He's working hard. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He still doesn't have it. But he believes this book a lot more than his lived experience. That's the power of propaganda. And I said it before on this show. I said propaganda is a hell of a drug. It's got heroin, cocaine, anything you could be on, liquor. It's got anything you could be on cannot fight with the level of propaganda that you could be living. You could be working somewhere and living in a storage unit and still eating off this conservative idea that hard work is going to get you where you need to go. You know, you once you have it to where it's only, you know, once you have plasma to where like selling plasma is legal here and it ain't legal in all these other places, then the market's here. So that's when you have like what you really have when you have that is we've kind of mutated the market because it's not legal everywhere else. And so you have like this, like you have like these like new donor deals. Right? You get, it's a $50 special. Because there's nothing in America that can't be marketed to somebody somewhere. And so it's an additional cost. That's what happens. So you have to understand how this game has been played. And how America is using its bottom to not only we talk about a lot on this show about how like we're the bottom for America. No, with stuff like this, like the bottom in America is the bottom for the world. And the world is literally sucking our blood out. And so let me just, this is just an audio clip, but it's just, there was another, if you all haven't caught this series, it was like a month ago. I mean, not a month ago, Lord. It was like 2017. But there was a great series, WNYC Studios on the media. There was a great series called, I think it had like 4 or 5 parts. And it was called Busted. And it was destroying like the myths about poverty in America. So if you have a chance, please go and check it out. But what I want to do right now is just see if I can play this audio clip. I want to see if I can play this audio clip from that, and just to give everyone an idea of like this is real America.
Need to talk
this
to
isn't
someone
fake
in
America.
that situation.
This isn't aspirational
so where's
America.
Poverty Central?
This
Kathy
is
Eden,
real
Johns
America.
Hopkins University sociologist and co-author of $2 a Day, Living on Almost Nothing in America, gave us directions. If you
sit out.
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna get this up for you. Again, it's from here. Let me put this up, and I just want you to listen to this. I stopped it. I know it was playing at first. I'm gonna try to play it from where it was playing at. Hold on a second. All right. Things play when you don't want them to play and don't play when you want them to play. Ain't that something? Hold on 1 second. Or don't play right. Let me try one more time, fam. But like the clip is just the same thing over again. Anyway, the clip is of a woman, and she's talking about she's giving plasma. And it's the same kind of, it is the same scenario all over again. Like she had, I think in her situation, what happened to her was it was a baby, and she had a baby and she had a child. And so I'm not gonna, the child was born with certain defects, and so she found herself in the same kind of situation. Like, I need the money. I don't know what else to do. So let me see if I can bring that. I really want to bring that up if I can. So let me see if I can bring that up one last time. If it doesn't work this time, I'll leave it alone. But let me see if I can bring it up.
Who needed the bus voucher and, it turned out, also needed to talk.
Well, my name is Carla Renee Scott. I'm 30 years old, and I've been a resident of Cleveland, Ohio all of my life.
She was trying to sell her plasma for bus fare to the hospital, where she spends each day with her severely premature baby, Kaylee.
She's been through 4 surgeries already. At 23 weeks, she's only 1 pound, and she had 2 perforated holes in her bowel. She now has 2 stomas on the side of her stomach that's out with colostomy bags. She's doing better. She's a fighter, but thinking about doctors for her once she's actually able to come home, setting up the Social Security and things like that. Those are the things that I had to deal with long term. I've been doing a lot of footwork with that. Still looking for a job.
Eve kept prodding gently for details about Carla's day-to-day life, and it started to get to her a little.
I can't even, it's been so many days like that. Every day, all you think about is the safety of your child. You know, you're worried every day. It's just so weird to even be able to express it because I've been like robotic. I just keep going and I don't talk about it. So I'm sorry that I'm a little bit emotional. I'm just finally being able to process it. I've always been the type of person when put in a situation, I try to champion through it. But this one right here, it's very difficult. And the last thing I ever wanted to do was sell my plasma, but if I have to go to a plasma center to at least have fare to go back and forth and change my clothes or just to eat, then that's what I'm going to do to be there for her.
It's $20 to $50 per donation, depending on your weight, and takes about 90 minutes. After that, you can feel pretty weak. Plasma's a $14 billion business this year, growing fast, and the U.S. provides 65% of the world's supply, with clinics proliferating where poverty prevails. Too metaphorical, right?
I can't stand needles. To have a needle in you, taking the nutrients and everything that you have in your body and then pushing blood back into you and repeating the cycle, sucking all of this life out of you, and then you're looking at it like, wow, this is a big container. I'm not that big of a person. Ugh, it's so many different feelings.
Again, family, if I don't really know how you can. I don't even know how you can listen to these and it not break your heart. But if you know, that's the series. And I think what we have to do, and somebody says, you know, when people talk about solutions, and you have to talk about, when you talk about how we can change this, I think you have to talk about how we misunderstand this. You can't talk about how you change this without talking about how poverty, how this has been misunderstood, and how these people have been misunderstood, how we all have been misunderstood. So what I'm saying is that I saw somebody in the comments. I always look at the chat while the video is playing, and somebody said the last thing you need is kids. I agree. But what does it say? Like, if you're poor, that's the last thing you need. Exactly. But what does it say that you can't have kids? That you can't have a child in the country that your people built, your ancestors built with free labor, built the world, the global markets, more valuable than the stock exchange, more valuable than all of that, and we can't have family. And I'll say something else. If you go listen to this, it's a great study. I've mentioned it before, the marshmallow study. The marshmallow study, when they came back and redid it, showed one thing. It didn't show like, well, poor people just need discipline. No, it shows that like poor people don't have discipline because there's no reward. Right? People who are disciplined are used to their discipline meaning something. So if you're middle class, if you're upper class, if you're rich, you get rewarded for being disciplined. So yes, you don't have a kid if you're a middle class, upper class white woman, because you know not having a kid means you get to have a family, you get to have your pick of the litter in terms of wealthy husbands, all of that. So no, you do not have a child. But there's a reward. The marshmallow study showed that when the kids who were in the study, who were promised a reward and didn't get the reward, when you asked them if they wanted to wait for 2 marshmallows or whatever it was as opposed to 1, they said, "Now give me my stuff now because I don't believe in tomorrow. I don't have no hope. I'm going to snatch what I can right now because I don't believe you in terms of what you're promising me." And so when America doesn't deliver, what you get is that kind of behavior. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or whatever. When you live in a country that doesn't deliver, when your life shows that there is nothing, there's going to be no benefit for you being disciplined, what you get is undisciplined and reckless behavior. And I'm not saying this woman is reckless. From what I heard, she had 1 kid. You can't have 1 kid in America. You can't have 1 kid in the richest country in the world and not have to sell, not have to go and like sell your nutrients, sell your plasma. People be dizzy afterwards. People be messed up, and it takes 90 minutes. 90 minutes for how much? $30 or something like that? Like, this is the life. This is the life people are living. And what I'm trying to understand, what I'm trying to investigate, what I'm trying to be clear on is why there is so little advocacy for these people, especially in terms of us, because we are these people. Even if you don't think you know these people, you know these people. They're just too ashamed to tell. You know somebody in this group. They're just too ashamed to say so. Because in America, we have made being poor, even though America put you in that position, we have made people be ashamed of being in that position. Right? So in terms of solutions, what I want to say is, I want to try to investigate it. That's like what I want to do. I want to investigate why we don't already have a solution. Or what is the impediment? What is the impediment to a solution? What is the impediment to us advocating for ourselves as American Black DOS, or advocating for the disproportionate number of DOS who are in this situation? What has stood in the way of that? I don't know that. Like, why are these people suffering in silence? What does that mean? Why are we in a role to have our liquids in our body and our nutrients harvested? Well, one of the things that I will say, because I've heard of some people, someone in the chat said something to me and I wanted to address it. Someone in the chat said, "Well, Yvette," when I was talking about the Supreme Court the other day, they said, "Well, Yvette, you know, if Hillary Clinton had been elected, we would have a different court. And you didn't like Hillary Clinton. So, you know, if you had and you and the people like you had gone with Hillary Clinton, we wouldn't be in this situation with the court." Let me just tell you something. Black people. Exchanging one set of problems for another set of problems is not a solution. Let me say that one more time. Exchanging one set of problems for another set of problems is not a solution. Let me show you what I mean, because I can show you much better than I can tell you. I can show you much better than I can tell you. Now listen, look at this. Now this is very interesting. Arkansas bloodsuckers, the Clintons, prisoners, and the blood trade. You can trace, if you want to talk about the Clintons, so you can't stop trying to disconnect everything. Stop trying to disconnect everything and act like the Clintons are not the same people who put a health management company in place in Arkansas jails that sold tainted blood and used tainted needles on prisoners. Some of who said that they have HIV, hepatitis. They were a part of this blood trade, and that's what it is. It's a blood trade. It's a blood trade. They are and have been a part of a blood trade. How are you looking at how are you looking at black life and saying to yourselves at this moment, you can look it up, you ain't got to believe me. But how are you now believing that your life would be better? Oh yeah, you have a more liberal Supreme Court. You have a different set of problems, though, because you got to remember, Bill Clinton was the one who gave us Democrats who were going to just be Republican as well, and just we're gonna be Republican, but we're gonna do everything Republicans do, but more efficiently. We're gonna do it before they do it. We're just gonna call ourselves Democrats. Gave us that too, but look at this. And I'm gonna put up a quote really quick, and let's just read from it, shall we? Now the company in Arkansas, was Health Management Associates, I think, but it was HMA is the company. HMA not only made money from providing medical care to prisoners, but it also started a profitable side venture, blood mining. Isn't that interesting? Blood mining. Blood mining. The company paid prisoners $7 per pint of their blood. HMA then sold the blood on the international plasma market for $50 a pint, splitting the proceeds 50-50 with the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Since Arkansas is one of the few states that does not pay prisoners for their labor, inmates were frequent donors at the so-called blood clinic. Hundreds of prisoners sold as much as 2 pints a week to HMA. The blood was then sold to pharmaceutical companies such as Bayer and Baxter International, blood banks such as Red Cross, and so-called blood fractionizers who transform the blood into medicine for hemophiliacs. Okay? Now, one more quote before we move on. The allegation against the company involved numerous health and safety violations, failure to test for diseases such as hepatitis, syphilis, bad record keeping, falsification of records, and drawing blood from multiple patients with the same needle. Several former prisoners at Cummings, that's the jail where they were at, are now charging they contracted hepatitis and AIDS from the blood program. So you got prisoners. Now I understand something. All of this is going back to our community. Understand something. Like a disproportionate number of these prisoners who have contracted hepatitis and HIV while in jail. They're not going to the Clinton neighborhood. They're not going to where the Clintons live. They're coming back to our community. Now, if you all have all of a sudden forgotten what this looked like, I interviewed the author of this book, Super Predator, Nathan Robinson, on my page a couple years ago when he came out with the book. Please read this book. If you see Bill Clinton with all them black prisoners behind him, please read the book. If you are feeling nostalgic all over a sudden for the Clintons, please read the book. Please understand that Arkansas was the last state to stop selling prisoner blood. And that was under Bill Clinton. So before you come to me and tell me the world would be wonderful if we had Trump out and Hillary Clinton in, please make sure you read Super Predator. It's a great primer for how and why the Clintons were awful for black America because we tend to get caught up in this little binary. Well, Yvette, if you must love Trump. If you don't know, I understand, and I agree with what I said then. I said that both choices in terms of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were flawed. In terms of how, and I stand by that. I stand by that. We need to have our own agenda and move in the direction of whoever can hit those boxes. I'm going to advocate for X, Y, Z. Okay. We don't need to be operating outside of that. And I don't understand why anybody would think I would think differently. Harvesting prisoner blood. Even bad prisoner blood. People got disease. People dead right now. Come on. Clintons out there just want to we'll do whatever Republicans do. We'll just do it first and we'll do it better. Okay? It is insane. It is insane. And if you want to also, since we're doing politics 102 these days, there's some, if you want to really understand what Clinton did in terms of welfare reform, please read this old article from the Atlantic called The Worst Thing Clinton. I'll make it a little bit bigger for you. The Worst Thing Bill Clinton Has Done, from the Atlantic. A Clinton appointee who resigned in protest over the new welfare law explains why it is so hard, it's so bad, and suggests how its worst effects could be mitigated. I've read a lot of articles about the welfare reform bill, and this has probably been the best one. It's a long read, but if you want to really understand it, it's at the Atlantic. This is the title. It's still up. If you really want to understand how detrimental welfare reform was to our community. I think you should go. The worst thing Bill Clinton has done, Google it, find it, and read it, and really understand why we face two bad choices. And this is not a binary. This is not, well, you should have went with one, you had to be Yvette, you should have went with Clinton. No, we like to do this binary dance. No, we got no friends. The only thing we have, or at least we should have, if we really still have black leaders like that, is an agenda. And an agenda that we stick to as a bloc. You know, when you look at the Super Predator book, one of the things that you see, and you'll hear if you look at the interview that's up, you see what the prisoners behind him mean. You see like who is that behind him, like Zell Miller. I mean, you see how the Democratic Party wanted to become more Republican. It wanted to be really the party of Dixie again. I wish I was in Dixie. You know, it really wanted to be that party. And you see that they were saying, I'm going to do for you. I'm going to be better at locking black people up, locking these black men up than Republicans. That's what that picture was about. That picture is about being better at being a Republican than Republicans. There's nothing good for black people in that picture. And he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. If you want somebody to go hard on these Negroes, you got a friend in me. If you want somebody to lock up these Negroes and put them to work out here on this little plantation for them, whatever we got, you got a friend in me. That's what he was signaling. So you're going to tell me, wait. You're going to tell me that his wife would be better for black people? These people are a team. These people are a team. If you want to read it, read about how Bill Clinton fought against his own Justice Department, who wanted to really take care of the disparity, and he fought his own Justice Department against getting justice in terms of the crack cocaine disparity. You read about all the stuff he could have did himself that he didn't even need Republican support for. Bill Clinton did this stuff intentionally. So please don't tell me that Hillary Clinton, please don't come in my comments and tell me that Hillary Clinton would have been good for black America. Why don't you all go back and remember that Black Lives Matter protester that came into a little country club, and go back and look and see how she treated her. Go back and look how she treated her. You know, you tell these prisoners like they don't get paid. So the prisoners can't work, right? So they're not going to get paid for work, but they can sell their blood. When I tell you, I'm not being depressing when I tell you that our job in this country is to be the bottom. So you lock us up in prison, like all these black men up in prison, and have them, they no way to make money, but they can sell their blood. They can also contract HIV. So that there's this, whether you talk about, so there's this whole mechanism set up for people to make money off of sending them to prison. And there's this whole mechanism for Bill Clinton to get elected off of sending them to prison. There's a whole industry off of just sending black men to prison, whether it's an industry for blood, whether it's an industry for politics. This is nothing. That picture is racist garbage. That picture should be why you should never vote for Clinton ever again in your life. That picture alone. I don't care what you say. And the Black Lives Matter girl, just so I can put it out there, the Black Lives Matter girl who interrupted that Clinton dinner or whatever, I think Antonio viewed her on Tone Talks. So you can go back and check that interview out too, because we've been trying to do this for a minute. I just wish more people pay attention, but it is what it is. So moving on, let me just say something, because I need to go on time. So when I'm looking at this, what I'm asking myself is why is it so hard for my people to see the problem. So, okay, we got all this stuff going on. Why don't people don't see what's going on? And so the only thing I can come up with is your boy. Your boy's always talking, so I have no choice but to be always talking about him. But he's the best representation of so much that is wrong, right? So this is a new variety interview. He's out again talking about how he used to throw paper bags or newspapers, and he's always been a hustler. He got a new show out or whatever. I don't care. I would. But he's talking. He's talking. So let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation in this interview that he did. Let's have a conversation. And here's the best image. Sean Combs slams industry's lack of investment enterprise of investment in black enterprise. Previews next moves. Okay, first of all, I don't even know what you're talking about. But ladies and gentlemen, let's understand one thing. There are so many parts in this interview that are problematic. He basically, in this interview, contradicts everything he's ever said about black excellence, the black renaissance. We got to do for ourselves. Nobody ain't coming to save us. You know, you just got to be positive. You just got to be loved. You just got to work hard. He contradicts all of that in this interview. I don't even know if he knows who he is. I don't even know if he knows who he is. Now here's one of the first quotes. You have, and this is him talking, you have these record companies that are making so much money off our culture, off our art form, but they're not investing or even believing in us, says Combs. For all the billions of dollars that these black executives have been able to make, to put them in the top level positions, they'll go and they'll recruit cats from overseas. Understand that Revolt TV's CEO is an Indian from overseas, Indian American, born. I think she went to school in Toronto. I don't know where, but understand that your own CEO of Revolt is not a black. But okay, it makes sense to give executives of color a chance and embrace the evolution, instead of it being that we can only make it to president, senior VP. There's no black CEO of a major record company. That's just as bad as the fact that there are no black majority owners in the NFL. That's what really motivates me. All right. Now understand something, black people. Understand one thing. There's something, and this is the killer quote. This is the killer quote. Hold on to that one and listen to this one. We only got 5% of the venture capital invested in things that are black-owned. Black-owned businesses, black-owned ideas, black-owned IP, he says. You can't do anything without that money, without resources. But when we do get the resources, we over-deliver. When Adidas invests in Kanye and it's done properly, you have the right results. When Live Nation invests in artists and puts them in arenas the same way U2 would be, you have the right results. Black Panther, Blackish, fashion is all about access. If you're blocked out of the resources, you can't compete. And that's my whole thing, to be able to come and compete. Now understand something. He didn't say I have the resources. He didn't say nothing like that. He said when you're locked out of the resources, everything from Adidas to Live Nation was him talking about white money investing in black people and black ideas. That was all about that. That was all about the importance of white dollars. Because you know what? Nearly all dollars are white dollars. I've been saying that forever. I have been saying that forever. And everybody said, no, Diddy out here doing it, and all these people doing it, Yvette. Why are you being a hater? He just said, I need venture capital. He didn't say, I'm going to invest, or I have enough to invest. He didn't say nothing like that. He said, I need venture capital from these white companies. That's what he said to you. And they're not investing in me. That's what I've been saying. And there has to be a mechanism in place. There has to be a mechanism in place. It can only come from government that can force them to say, listen, you have to invest in descendants of slaves. You have to invest. These people have been here since the beginning. They built this country. You have to offer them and give them first dibs on your investment dollar. Only government does that. Sean Combs doesn't know enough to know that. He just knows that he's been in this business about 25, 30 years and he ain't got but 200 employees. Oh, you think I'm lying? Let's find that close. Let's do it. We can do it. Let's find that too. 200. So wait a minute, hold on. I don't think and I don't even believe those are all employees, but he's there admitting that you have about 200 employees. You've been in this business 25, 30 years and you got 200 people? Understand that Roseanne was getting 11 million viewers while Blackest was getting 4 million. Diddy didn't give no numbers. He just talked real fast and did a garbage interview. But he admitted something that I don't think he wanted to admit. You admitted that you need white dollars. You admitted that it's not just about what you said it was about. You've been talking about working hard. Let me tell you something, black people. This is how I want you to think about working hard in terms of building something. Working hard or hard work, however you want to put it, however you want to phrase it, I don't care. Working hard is an ingredient, right? So if you're going to be successful, yeah, I agree. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to work hard. But working hard is like having eggs and you're baking a cake. So working hard is one ingredient. You got some eggs. I got my eggs. But you got one ingredient. Okay, the sugar might be social capital. The flour might be investment from venture capital, right? You might need a pinch of baking soda. That might be government kind of enforcing all this. There are a lot of ingredients that go along with being successful in America, and it's usually wealth that's passed down through generations. That's what you see when you see Bezos. That's what you see when you see Zuckerberg. If you don't have that, you're going to need more of the stuff, more of the ingredient that involves government. You're going to need more of that ingredient because you don't have the intergenerational familial wealth. But he hasn't been talking about any of that. You can't talk about that. You can't beg white people and ask them. You talk about Yvette's begging. Now Puff Daddy's begging, but he don't want to do the politics. I remember we did an interview earlier this year when Trump got elected. We ain't worried about Trump. We out here doing things. Puffy, Diddy, whatever you call yourself, love. You got to be worried about Trump. You got to be worried about whoever's in the White House. And you got to be advocating for that. You can't be saying we need these people to invest in us and then saying I'm not worried about Trump. Because these people are not going to invest in you without Trump. And you are evidence of black failure. You think you're evidence of black success. But Diddy, you are evidence of black failure. There's no way you should have been doing this. I was listening to Total, produced by Diddy, way back when I was in early college or something. And you ain't got but 200 employees. You know good and well you are example. You've been running around and dancing and doing 10 Instagrams a day and working hard and take that. And you still haven't made it anywhere. And now you're doing the 4 and you be doing Ciroc and you got deli on and all kinds of liquors. You've been doing everything under the sun and you got 200 employees. You are evidence of black failure. You think you're evidence of black success and black renaissance, but no, you're evidence of black failure. There's no way you should have been doing everything you're doing. You can't talk to me about do for self because self ain't did nothing for you. Don't nobody, people call him a mogul. Don't no mogul work as hard as him. Don't no mogul have everything tied to their persona. So you got to be on Instagram all the time so people can pay attention to you so they buy Ciroc. You're not a mogul. How many Instagram accounts Warren Buffett got? You're not a mogul, you're a pitch man. And I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you, but somebody had to. Capital has diminished the value of working hard. So you out here talking about, well, you just got to work hard. You just got to work hard. No, capital has diminished the value of labor, period. Gutted the unions, everything. The people at the top got the overwhelming majority of the money. The share that the bottom has been decreasing and decreasing. We've shared the charts on this show. Working hard will not get you there. But see, you don't access information. You just dance around and wear bright colors. Ain't nothing I can do. But again, you are an expression. You, Kanye, everybody. You all are expressions of the limitation of blackness. You are not expressions of black excellence. I'm so happy to be the one to tell you. I'm so happy to be the one to tell you. And he says this stuff like there's so like, let me see if I can find this quote. There's so much odd that goes on in the minds of people. He says this, he says this about something strange. He says this about Black Panther, and it's also odd to me. He says Black Panther was a cruel experiment because we live in 2018, and it's the first time that the film industry gave us, for playing the field worldwide, playing on the field worldwide, blockbuster, blah 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 blah. But it's just like you feel like, and I'm not taking anything away, but it's like you feel like you built Black Panther. Understand that this comic book has been around for decades. Understand it's connected to the Marvel Universe. Understand that you don't know what went into it. See, when you see a movie, you've seen the end. You've seen the result. You don't know how that movie was positioned. You have no idea. But I bet you one thing. I bet you know that you couldn't pay for it. I bet you know that you couldn't pay for that level of positioning. I bet you know that. Of everything that goes into making a movie a success outside of like getting it directed and put into theaters. There's a whole lot. See, we like to look at the end result of a thing and be like, see, that's what did it. No, that's a whole back Breaking Brown fam. Because I think I went out for a second. They trying to mess with a sister. Okay. But it's still not, when you talk about Black Panther, it's still not about telling our story. And I'm not going to celebrate anything that's not about you. You want to make it black, but you don't want to tell our story. American black descendant of slaves. You don't want to tell our story. That's what I celebrate my people's story. And so what I look at is it's just how we got here. And let me just see if I can pull this up really, really quick. Because this is just very interesting. All of this is the opposite. Do you all understand that like everything that I'm talking about is the opposite of what he's been saying? It's the opposite of what Diddy has been saying about himself. And I brought up a few little clips just to kind of show you what he's been saying now about needing money and and what he's been pushing. He says now, well, we need the money and people don't invest in us and we only get the venture capital. But on your Instagram, you say your true work in life is to keep lifting your frequency, because everything in life, in your life, comes as a result of the vibration. Well, Diddy, maybe you should just increase your vibration. Maybe you should just, I don't understand why I should have any sympathy for anybody who believes that life is about vibration. I just don't. Here's another one. Nobody cares. Work harder. Well, did he just work harder? Maybe if you work harder and you tell the white people with money they should invest more, they'll invest more. Maybe you dance harder. I don't know. You do a lot of stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's something that you should do. One of the things that I talk about a lot are these lies of omission. See, in the black community, we only like to tell half the story. So we'll tell half the story about how, yeah, you got to work hard. We won't talk about anything that happens behind closed doors. We'll talk about somebody starting a new black business, but we won't talk about when that business fails and that person is damn near homeless. We don't want to have that conversation. And so understand that what Diddy did throughout his life was push us in a direction where we thought hard work and effort and believing in magic would land us in a spot. And now he's telling us years later that even he's not really in that spot. Because if you're looking for money from venture capital, that means you're not the venture capital. If you're looking for money from the big players, it means that you're not the big player. Y'all remember I told y'all a long time ago, I did the whole thing about how he don't own Ciroc. Ciroc's owned by a white company that owns they own like 50 some odd liquors, or maybe 100. I ain't never seen so many liquors in my life. Like, I went and investigated the company that owns Ciroc, and they only tell. The problem is it's a problem. It's a problem. The problem is, like, you've been lying to us. Like, you've not been truthful. You're here to market. You're here to create appetites, right? Before Diddy and all this stuff and all this luxury stuff, black people wasn't nowhere thinking about no luxury. We weren't nowhere thinking about what we could buy. We weren't nowhere thinking about, when I was in high school and middle school, we weren't thinking about, like, there were videos with black people in Jeeps. We weren't thinking about Maseratis. We weren't thinking about Maybachs. We weren't thinking about Bentleys. You created an appetite for luxury in the black community, which makes you really an enemy of the black community, because we didn't have that appetite before your kind of hip-hop. Nobody had appetites for Rolexes and different things and running around in circles trying to get them like a little rat on the wheel. That wasn't before us. You went and brought Biggie Versace. That was you. You created an appetite. An appetite that only enriched white capital. See, you don't own Versace, but you're selling Versace. You don't own Ciroc, but you're selling Ciroc. You don't own Maybach, but you own a Maybach, and some people should own. You don't own these luxury brands, but you're selling them. You are a vehicle. You are a funnel to move black dollars to white capital. That's all you are, and that's why I have no use for you. Not anymore. That's all you are. We didn't have these appetites before this. You created this, and you created a thirst that we can't quench. So as everything is going down, as we see everything going down, we want that stuff. We want that stuff. We don't even need that stuff. I've said before, I don't want any kind of Ferrari. I'm tall. I'm 5'10". I can't get down that low and keep getting up that high and get down that low and get up that. I've run all my life. I can't do that. I have bad knees. I can't be doing that. We don't even realize that we don't want it. I said that before. We don't even realize. Have you ever been inside one of them cars? I don't want it. But you've sold it so hard to us, we really think and we really believe that it's something that we want. And so, so we're here. You know, what's the song? What did he say? But, it is what it is. I'm going to try to, all these half-truths, all these lies, all this aspiration, all this appetite. What's the song say? I'm clocking your Versace shades, watching you. Once you grind, I'm in the game begins. First, I talk about how I dress in this. Diamond necklaces, stretched Lexuses. We should have never got involved in all this garbage. We should have never got involved in stretched Lexuses, red bottoms, all that stuff. How do the poorest people in the country think they want luxury goods? And for what? Where you gonna wear them little red bottom shoes to? Where you gonna drive that? What you doing? What you doing again? I don't understand any of it. But let me get ready and go to the calls. Let me get ready, because I want to hear what y'all got to say. I got a little bit more that I got to say, but I know it's getting there. So I'm going to get ready to go to the calls. Give me like 3 minutes, fam, to come back. And then we're going to have a conversation. What's up, fam? I don't know what's going on tonight with the stream. It seems to me like it's some... Oh, see, I told you, net neutrality and income inequality and all kind of stuff. Oh, tomorrow I'll try to get some new stuff and see if some new stuff works. That's the only thing you can do. I just call a company. I need some new stuff. What y'all got new? Anyway, because I have the best plan already, so I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole nother... Shalom. Anyway, I'm going to go to the first call and get this thing started so that we can have the conversation. I'm going to 646. 646, what's your name, where you're calling from, and what's on your mind?
Albert. Hey, this is Big Albert, the chef from New York.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, chef?
How you feeling? Yeah, I love the show tonight.
Thank you.
I love you. And then it was cool to learn that you're 5'10". I didn't know that.
Everybody always says they think I'm short, but that's another story. That's another story for another day.
Yeah, my wifey, she's 6'4".
Oh, good God Moses! I didn't know they made them like that.
And she's straight up DOS. Like later, like the churches keep teaching you.
Yeah.
You know.
It shouldn't be out of bounds. Yeah.
I was also thinking about the thing he was talking about with Diddy. You know, with his table grapes pushing the Ciroc. And I happen to know a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
That business and how he was getting like something like 12%. This is all hypothetically and allegedly. I'm just talking, but when he was able to convince the owners, and they just kept giving him more and more, and they own, like you said, like 50 different other vodkas and all these different brands, and it was funny how my friend that was talking to me about the situation, he was saying how like Diddy was just fighting so hard to make everyone understand that he just had what it took to take this brand, and was like telling the company, like, I'm going to tell everyone that I own this, and they were like, no, and he was like, yes, it's the only way it's going to sell. I have to sell this. And this is like information that I got like 12 years ago, you know, from a friend that was very close to him, allegedly, of course. But you know, it's just so funny to me that people actually buy into this, and I was one of those people too. I went to Bloomingdale's and bought the $600 Versace shirt in 1994. You know? Wow. Yeah, I was that guy, and I felt very uncomfortable when I bought it. They were looking at me and my boys like, what are these two N-words doing over here? And, you know, we pulled out our money that I worked very hard for, and I bought it and went to the club, and I wore it like 10 times at 10 different clubs.
10 times at 10 different clubs.
Yeah, I had to circulate the club so people don't say, yo, I see this dude in this shirt already. But I definitely wore the shirt out.
Good God Almighty, the internet just is choppy. Oh my God, are y'all back? Are y'all back yet? It's the same gear as always. It's the same. I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing we always do. The same way we always do it. But tonight it's just doing its own thing. So everybody's back. Okay, let's try to take another call. Don't make no kind of sense. Anyway, 253, I'm coming to you. 253, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, this is Alan from Seattle, Washington.
What's going on?
Hey, so I just wanted to make a couple points and then get your opinions on some stuff. I know you heard about Kylie and this crazy narrative about her being self-made, and I kind of wanted to tie it into to Diddy, and you know, the point that, you know, Kim and Kanye, I think that they both have just hit a ceiling, and they just can't go any further, and they're all frustrated. So now they're starting to kind of backpedal to figure out what's going on. And fix the water in Flint. He posted on Twitter recently that he was gonna pay his own money to like fix the problem in Flint. I just want to get what you thought about that, and go from there. Anyway, that's all I had, and I just wanted to thank you again for your show, and I love listening, and I can't wait to hear what you got to say.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. I don't know what happened tonight, everybody. I think we'll have to call it a night early because the internet is just not making for a good viewing experience. So, he was talking about Elon Musk. For those who, the internet went out. For those who didn't hear, he was talking about Elon Musk saying he was going to pay for the water in Flint, and wanted to know what I thought about it. But I just think that like charity is not how you build communities or societies. And I think Elon Musk is a narcissist. That's why he showed up in like Thailand with a submarine. Like he's like this weird narcissist weirdo. So, you know, and it says a lot about Kanye, that Kanye respects this guy as much as he respects him. It says a whole lot. So, you know, it says a whole lot. So I really think that like there's a reason why we don't build communities based on charity, because it doesn't work. Like we learned that during the Depression with the soup lines. There wasn't enough charity to go around. It has to be governments. And I think these narcissist superheroes love to fly around and feel like they do something, and they, you know, but you can't build a community or society or upward mobility based on any of that. That's not how it works. So Breaking Brown fam, I will try to. I apologize because everything's choppy tonight. I will try to get it figured out tomorrow as best I can. I'm sorry, but it's too choppy because people aren't hearing the questions and people are trying to call in, and it's just too much. And I don't think it's a good like viewing experience for the people who are watching because of the choppiness, and I don't want to do that. Like that's not what I do. So let me try to talk to the internet provider and get this fixed. But I think with net neutrality and everything, I think this is the direction that we're going. It's kind of interesting that it happened now. But I appreciate everybody for. I'm sorry that I didn't get the people who called in. We had a technical difficulty. I'll try to get it fixed, and I'll keep everybody updated. If you want to see me, I'll be on Facebook talking about what happened and see if I can get it fixed. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you. Until next time, please like, please subscribe, and again, I apologize.